the audio key, and also please ensure that you already selected call by using computer. Other than that, if let's say you have any questions, no matter it's regarding the technical issue you're facing, or actually you have questions regarding the slide, okay, you could drop us a message in the chat box and select send to all panelists. So for your questions regarding the slide, our speaker will answer your questions during the Q&A sections. For the technical issue, our host will answer you on the spot. Okay, so today our topic for this webinar is IKA, your formulation development partner. And my name is Amber. I'm the product specialist from IKA. So today is a bit special. If let's say you did join our webinar before, today is a bit special because other than the speaker from IKA, we also are very happy that we can invite Ms. Sophia from Rubisol to join us. She will share with all of you and very interesting formulations from Rubisol on how to make a melt-in crystal cream. This is quite unique application for me. So after my section will be followed by Ms. Sophia's sections. So this is the content of today. I will talk about what is the essential equipment that you can find in the formulation lab. What is the differences between an overhead stirrer and high-speed homogenizer? I believe some of you might confuse this before. And also, if let's say you are using overhead stirrer, how to choose the correct stirring element according your applications. And also, I will share some recommendations from IKA. How could IKA help you to solve some of your problems during formulations? So after my sections, Ms. Sophia from Rubisol will share her formulation to all of you, and then we will have the Q&A sections at the last of the webinar today. Okay, let's start with the common lab equipment in the formulation lab. Okay, so before we start our formulations, normally we require to do some sample preparations. We can see all these common equipment that can use for the sample preparations. It's very common we will use a grinder to reduce the particle size of our raw material before we use it in the formulations. So today I would like to share with you about the one of our very unique grinder, which are called tube mill, because it comes with the disposable chamber. So if let's say you would require prevent cross contaminations, for example, you want to grind color pigment, this disposable chamber is ideal for you to prevent the cross contaminations. Because we all know that for grinder, if let's say we want to 100% clean from the dashboard, it's very difficult. So you can consider about the disposable grind chamber from our tube mills. Okay. Other than that, we also have a new launch grinder which called multi-drive. It is very unique grinder as well because it can use with different kind of the grinding chamber. It has a dry milling chamber for dry grinding. It also has the blending vessel for wet milling. And most unique is you also can use with it dispersing chambers for make emulsion or suspensions. So by using one grinder with different type of chamber, basically it can cover most of the grinding applications. Okay, so other than grinding, what is the common equipment that we see from the sample preparations? For heating, we commonly see people using magnetic stirrer to heat up our sample, to melt the wax, to heat up the water or oil phase. Okay. And also, we do find some of the user would prefer to use the immersion circulator bath or heating bath to heat up their sample before they start the formulations, because it is more similar to their process plants. Because for process plant, normally they're heating with the circulating heating water, but not the hot plate. So some of the people would like to have a similar heating pattern. They will prefer to use the heating bath to heat up their samples. Okay. Other than that, if let's say you require to extract desired component from the raw material before you can use in the formulations, rotary evaporator also is required in some of the formulation lab. Okay. And most common equipment that used in the sample preparation is the balance, right? Okay, from IKA, we don't have the balance in this moment, but we do have one very innovative product from IKA, which we call IKA Skill. This IKA Skill basically is a press stand. You can use with our overhead stirrer or disperser. So before you start the mixing or dispersing, right, you can directly rig your sample on this IKA Skill. For this IKA Skill, it actually can rig up to 6 kgs. So if let's say you require this convenient instrument, you can consider this IKA Skill. Okay, so after sample preparations, we have to start our formulation. What is the most common equipment that we'll use? For sure, the overhead stirrer, okay, for mixing all kind of mixing applications. And if let's say we require to do emulsion or suspensions, or we want to reduce the sample particle size, we will use disperser. Okay, and also we also require the temperature control, either heating or cooling, to maintain our ideal temperatures during the reactions. We also require the temperature control, either you require a chiller or heating bath. So after we've done the formulations, we have to check the physical property of our samples, what we require. Some people will require the rheometer, and also some people will use the viscometer to measure the viscosity. Okay. Other than that, to know how long is our product can last, we also can use the drying oven to carry the aging test. So all of this equipment, which could be used in the formulation lab, also you can also find in the IKA product range. Okay, so now let's continue with what is the difference between the overhead stirrer and the disperser, which we normally use in the formulations process. Okay, here is a short introduction for our IKA overhead stirrer product range. We do have a compact overhead stirrer from IKA, which is called Nano Mini Microstar series. And this Nano Star Digital is the smallest overhead stirrer in the lab, I believe. Okay, it's smaller than the smartphone you are using. So this is ideal to use with magnetic stirrer, and also ideal to use in the film hood because the footprint is very small. And if let's say you are actually handling the samples which are very expensive, which are very precious, you want to mix it in small volume only, you also can use with this nanostar overhead stirrer. Okay, and for this nanostar stirrer, actually it also can hit mixing up to 5 liters and provide the constant speed up to 2000 RPM. If let's say you require a higher performance overhead stirrer, we do have the ULTRA series. And for this ULTRA series, it can provide you the constant torque, no matter even your sample's viscosity is changed. It can still maintain at the constant torque. Okay. Other than that, for our control versions of the ULTRA series, it comes with the wireless controller, which allow you to control the mixing applications outside the film hood. And so do with these control versions, right? It comes with the external sensor, so you can monitor your sample temperature while you're doing the mixing procedures. So other than ULTRA series, we also have RW series. I believe some of you maybe is our RW20 user, which are a very classic and robust overhead stirrer in the market. Okay, for our RW series, it is a very high torque overhead stirrer. And also, if let's say you require to mixing up to 200 liters, it also can support by using our RW47 digital. When you want to upscale to process plant, okay, I would like to share with you, IKA basically we have 2 divisions. We have lab division, which are where I come from, and also we have another team is actually process team, which can help you to handle the process plant. So if let's say you want to upskill your applications in the futures, we do have another team of process team colleague ready to help you to upskill. Okay, so for the dispersing our famous ULTRA TURRAX technology for our disperser, we are actually able to support from the lab scale 10 ml to 50 liter for the pilot scale. And if let's say you require upscale to the process plant, we also have another team of the process members to help you. Okay, so now let's see what is the differences between IKA overhead stirrer and disperser. So basically it's a speed. Normally maximum speed of overhead stirrer is 2000 RPM. They also have some selected high speed model like from IKA high speed Aerosa 20 liter. It can mixing up to 6000 RPM. If let's say you require to mixing higher than 6,000 RPM, you require a disperser or homogenizer, or some people call it high-speed mixer. So by using a disperser, it can mixing up to 25,000 RPM. And also the second difference between the overhead stirrer and disperser is overhead stirrer, the shear force is low to medium, depends on the impeller you use. If let's say you're using the dissolver impeller, the shear force is slightly higher compared to a floor braided stirrer. But somehow, disperser is it will achieve a very high shear force because the dispersing element we are using with the disperser is using this rotor stator principle. So you can see outside this is the stator head. At the middle, we do have a rotor. For this rotor, it will spin at very high RPM, which can up to 25,000 RPM. It will force your sample go into the rotor stator head and out from the narrow gap between the rotor stator. So this is how it reduces the particle size of your sample. And for overhead stirrer, actually it can support wide range of the viscosity from low to high, depends on the impeller design you are using. So for selected model of overhead stirrer in the market, we have a very high motor output. It can support up to 150,000 millipascal. Okay, if let's say you want to mixing high viscosity sample, we will recommend you use overhead stirrer. For disperser, the maximum viscosity you can use is about 5,000 millipascal. So this is the differences. And let's see the effect. By using overhead stirrer, normally it will not reduce your particle size unless you are using the dissolver stirrer, which has this sharp tool, which can slightly reduce your sample particle size. Okay, but when you're using disperser, since it's using the rotor stator principle, so it will reduce your sample particle size and also reduce the droplet size. So this is why, if let's say we want to mix immiscible solvent together, like water and oil, if let's say we're using, no matter how fast or how long we mix, also we are unable to mix water and oil together. In this case, we will require an homogenizer to reduce the droplets of the oil molecule and water molecule to make an emulsion. And since the homogenizer is an open configuration, normally 15 to 120 seconds, you already can disperse all your samples. So we will recommend you to keep your dispersing time within 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, further dispersing from 5 minutes, basically it won't have the significant reduce your particle size, only it will generate the excess heat. So please aware that if let's say you are handling the heat sensitive ingredient, please keep your dispersing time short. Okay, and what is the recommended application to use the overhead stirrer? We can use it for accelerating chemicals liquid reactions, make emulsion or suspensions, aerations for the fermentation process or wastewater treatment, and also it can use to improve the heat exchange during the reactions. For disperser, it's strongly recommended to make emulsions, suspensions, and making gum and gel because it can faster the wetting process. Also, it can break down the agglomerate in few seconds. And for the microbiology or biology lab, homogenizer also is ideal instrument to do the tissue or cell homogenizations. Okay, how to choose the correct sterling element with your overhead sterler? So for impeller, or some people call it sterling element, it comes with many different shape and size. So we have to try to choose the right one for our applications. So this is some of the factors you should consider when you're choosing an impeller. First, the flow pattern that you require, either axial flow or radial flow you are required, and your desired outcome. What is the reason you want to use the impeller? Either you want to have aerations, you want to make emulsions, or you want to mix liquid solvent homogeneous. So you have to understand what is your desired outcome first. Third, what is the speed that you want to use? Because different design of the impeller, it actually has the recommended speed and recommended viscosity to use with. And the last, you also have to consider the diameter of the impeller depends on your vessel size. So I will share with you how to get the general guideline from IKA later. So basically, the most common flow that by using the impeller is axial flow, radial flow, and tangential flow. For the common four-blade stirrer, three-blade stirrer, turbine stirrer, or centrifugal stirrer, it will create the axial flow. Axial flow, basically, it can use at high RPM. How can we know what is the maximum RPM can be used for the selected impeller? We can get from the T-speed. Okay, so from the T-speed, you can input in the equations by input the diameter of the impeller you use. It will you can calculate what is the maximum speed recommend to use with your sterling element. And also for this axial flow stirrer, it's recommended to use with the sample which are low to medium viscosity. The shear rate of this kind of four-bladed stirrer or three-bladed stirrer is medium. And we will recommend you to select the diameter of the impeller, which are 20 to 50% compared with your tank diameter. And for axial flow, right, we are recommend you to deal with the applications for suspensions because of the axial flow. It will give you top to bottom motions, okay, to prevent the solid particle size sentiment at this vessel tank. And then for the radial flow, also we can use at very high speed based on the tip speed recommended, based on its tip speed, okay? And also it can suitable to use with mixing sample low to medium viscosity. And by using this radial flow, it can create a high show. So it's recommended to use to make emulsion as suspension, because it will create a high shows when you're using the radial flow. Okay, and then if let's say you are dealing with high viscosity sample, like maybe you are dealing with clean paste, okay, we recommend you choose the anchor stirrer or paddle stirrer, which will create a tangential flow. So for the T-speed, we know that we have to keep our mixing speed low. And also from the DT ratio, we have to select the diameter of the impeller which are close to our tank diameter. So, so then it can scrap the samples which are actually deposited on the vessel wall to meter for better mixing. So for this kind of tangential flow, it's actually recommended for the applications for heat exchange. So where can we get a general guideline from IKA? You can go to our website, www.ika.com. Go to our knowledge center, download the overview of stellar geometry. So from this flyer, it will let you know what is the flow pattern of our selected impeller and the recommended viscosity and speed used. So you can get all this information from our flyer, which are already uploaded in our website. So now let's continue with some of the problem that you might facing from a formulations chemist. Okay. So other than you have to think how to improve your formulations. Basically, one of the difficulties for the formulation chemist is because that normally formulation involve um, many parameters you require to do heating, stirring, dispersing, or some of you might use require to debubbling. It means that you require to manage different devices, and you have to transfer the samples from one device to another device, which will cause low reproducibility, and also it will be difficult and more challenge when you want to upskill later. Okay, so you also can see when we want to use the magnetic stirrer with overhead stirrer, if let's say we don't have proper setup with the temperature sensor, the overhead stirrer element will hit on the temperature sensor and cause it damage. Okay, so also you can see if let's say for some of the formulation chemists when they want to do mixing and heating at the same time, they will do this kind of setup. And one of our user actually when they want to mixing and homogenizing, they do this very dangerous setup. Okay, please do not follow. It's very dangerous because it might break the glass easily. And if let's say you have more parameter you want to control, for example, you require monitor temperature, mixing, heating, vacuum. This kind of DIY configuration will take up a large space in your fume hood, and you will have a time consuming on set up the unit, cleaning the unit, and also because of the design, it's totally different from this setup with your process plant. When you require to upskill in the future, there is a big changes required for your formulations. So this is the reasons why IKA will recommend lab reactors for the formulation chemist, because for one reactor system, it can do all the mixing, heating, cooling, homogenizing, vacuum control to remove the bubble, pH monitoring, torque time measurement. Torque time measurement, it can give you an indications when your sample viscosity is changed. And also you have the timer and counter functions. And if let's say you would like to have a reproducible result, you also can use the software to control all these parameters. And the result also can be documented by using the software. Basically, you may find many lab reactor in the market, but I believe you are hardly can find one reactor can use with the homogenizer together. So from this picture, you can see that basically our lab reactor can use together with our T25 ULTRA TURRAX disperser to make emulsion and suspensions at the same time. And normally homogenizer is the key for us to make a stable emulsions. So this is the advantages by using IKA lab reactor. So what is lab reactor? Lab reactor basically is a reactor system in a lab scale, which are commonly used in R&D trial. You can control all the parameters inside the system. And also you can see from the outlook of the reactor system, actually it is mimicking the process plant. So when you want to upskill in the futures, the changes required is actually very minor. So what is the application we can support by using IKA lab reactor? We can support the cosmetic field to make formulations for all the creams, personal care products, pharmaceuticals to make ointments, gels, eye drop, okay, and all our parts that contact with the sample. Basically, it can be autoclave to prevent the cross-contamination problems. Also, it can use to formulate chemical product and also food product. So here is the there are two series of IKA lab reactor. We have LR1000 series, which has a 1 liter capacity, and LR2ST series, which are a 2 liter capacity. So for our LR1000, basically this is ready to use unit because it has integrated heating coil for you to heat up to 120 degrees Celsius with the sensor included. And also, you can set your desired RPM directly because anchor stirrer also already included. Okay, on the reactor vessel, there is 4 to 6 connectors for you to use with other accessories. For example, you can use with the homogenizer, as I mentioned just now. You can use with pH sensors or any accessories that you require to control your to make your formulations. Okay, and also for our control versions, it also has the programming mode, background indications, to let you know the viscosity change of your samples. Weighing functions, you can directly weigh your sample inside the vessel. Also, it can use for the real-time pH measurements. So with the attach of the pH sensor, you can directly read the pH value on the display. We also have the optional wireless controller as an accessories. Okay, if let's say you require larger volume, we do have LR2ST 2-liter reactors, come with 5 connectors on top to use with different accessories. And for the reactor vessel, we do have single wall vessel, double wall vessel with bottom discharge valve and stainless steel version as options. If let's say your sample is sensitive to light, you can consider the stainless steel vessel. For mixing, okay, we already have the integrated overhead stirrer. You can just use with either anchor stirrer with scraper or anchor stirrer to do your mixing applications. So other than mixings, you also can use with the temperature control unit. Depends on your temperature range required. We can support from -30 up to 250 degrees Celsius. The benefit by using IKA temperature control is you can insert the external sensor in your reactor directly to monitor and control your sample temperature. So normally the temperature control in the market, it only will help you to control the circulating water into the double wall vessel. But with IKA temperature control unit control versions, you have the option to use with the external sensor input in your vessel. So from the display, you can actually read your sample temperature directly, and you have the options to control your sample temperature instead of the circulating water temperature. So this is the benefit by using IKA temperature control with our lab reactor system. And if let's say you require to do emulsion suspension, you also can use with our homogenizer. For pH measurement, you can use our pH meter. And if let's say you want to debubbling of your samples during the formulations, you also can use our reactor together with the vacuum system. Okay. And also, if let's say you require automation process, you can use with our level source, okay, and set the process time. What is the RPM you require to on your overhead stirrer, temperature you require on the temperature control unit, dispersing RPM and vacuum. You can all preset this parameter and your process time. So what you require to do is only manually add in your sample, depends on your process time. So this is the advantages by using our level soft, which can control all the IKA instruments. And the result of your formulation also can be documented for the future reference. So here is some of the applications by using lab reactor. It can use in the palm oil research to support temperature from 230 up to 200 degrees Celsius. And also you can push in nitrogen gas to maintain an inert atmosphere, and the lowest pressure it can go is 25 millibar. So this kind of for IKA lab reactor, actually it can support the palm oil preaching process, palm oil deodorization process, chemical interesterification, or if let's say you are doing research on your crude palm oil, also it can be done within our LR2ST lab reactor. Okay, if let's say you are formulating paint, also our lab reactor is strong enough to support high viscosity sample mixing to ensure that your product is very uniform. Okay, if let's say you are facing the bubble problem at your end product, like our customer from the baking industry, okay, they are actually desire to use our lab reactor system to heating up their water phase, emulsifier, mixing process, and during the formulations, they require to drop their water phase drop by drop add into their mixture. So when they're using the conventional method, they have to use the pipette drop by drop add in the solvent, so which is quite tiring for the scientists. So by using the lab reactor, you can install the dropping funnel on it, and then you can adjust the flow rate on the stopcock. So this really help them to easier the formulations work. And also, they do also face the problem of the bubbling problem. Okay, so by using a conventional method, mixing by using overhead stirrer only, there is a lot of the bubble at the end product. So when they're using with the lab reactors, under the vacuum control, you can see the end product is free of bubble. So this is one of the benefits by using our IKA lab reactors. Okay, if let's say you're from food industry, you require a reactor system to formulate your sauce, okay, IKA RR1000 is also ideal because it can support the dispersing, mixing, cooling all in one system, okay. If you are interested to know how to make mayonnaise by using our RR1000, you can go to YouTube to select the video how we use the RR1000 control to formulate mayonnaise. Okay, and also for RR1000 is actually also very famous to use in the cosmetic or personal care industry. Okay, so here I share two more challenging formulations from the cosmetic or personal care industry. One of it is this marshmallow sunscreen mousse. You can see the end product is basically very high viscosity and the solid content is very high. But somehow, by using RR1000, it's still able to make it very uniform. And also when we're doing formulation of toothpaste, I believe you have to handle many devices in the conventional method because you require to do heating, dispersing, pH monitor, vacuum, mixing, and also cooling at the end of the product before you add in the fragrance. So all of this process you can done within this 1 liter reactor vessel, and you can see the end product, even it is very viscous, but it's very smooth, uniform, and no bubbles. So other than the toothpaste and marshmallow sunscreen we can support, we also can use it for facial cleanser, make lotions, ointment, depilatory creams, aloe vera gels, or eyeliner. Okay, if let's say you are interested to know how to use our lab reactor to formulate the cosmetic applications, you can go to our IKA channel in YouTube to search for IKA RR1000 hand cream applications. Okay, and also we have one customer videos from the Institute of Personal Care Science. They also share the benefit by using RR1000 can make their upskill process easier when they're formulating the organic whitening cream. Okay, so this is the complete solution for our RR1000 and also LR2ST, which can support the heating, mixing, vacuum, homogenizing, and software control. This is the complete solutions. So here again, I would like to highlight the advantages by using lab reactor is it has multi-functions which can help you to control all the parameters in the closed vessel, which can also help you to ensure the reproducibility, repeatable result, and also because of the design of the reactor is mimicking the process plant, it will be easier for you to upskill in the futures. So to one of our lab reactor user could that IKA lab reactor are the most suitable and reliable lab equipment to develop their formulations to the full scale and the commercializing and also commercializing their product. Okay, so other than this, as I mentioned just now, we also have the process team. I would like to share with you, if let's say you are interested to join our webinar from the process team with the title Optimizations in Food Emulsion Process, please send me an email. I will send you the registration link. So there's a webinar on 3rd of September for this topic, and also on 8th of September, we have also another webinar which talk about how to use the viscometer, which are presented by our sales executive, Ms. Joanne. So if let's say you're interested on these 2 webinars, please drop me an email. I will share you the register link. Okay, so here is my presentations. If let's say you have any questions regarding my presentations, you can just send your questions to the chat box. I will answer your questions during the Q&A sessions. So now I will hand over the time for Ms. Sophia from Rubizol.
Thank you, Amber. I learned a lot about the stirring elements and the different flow types I can make. So, hello everyone. My name is Sophia and I'm part of the technical team at Lubrizol Singapore. So some background information about me. I am from Melbourne, Australia, and I moved to Singapore 3 years ago to join Lubrizol. Prior to this, I worked at several manufacturing companies for multinational and local brands. So today I am presenting liquid crystal emulsion technology from Lubrizol, and I will show you how easy it is to formulate liquid crystals and make a pilot batch using IKA's lab reactor. So going to the next slide, skin is the largest organ of the human body. As we already know, within the epidermis, the top layer of the skin, stratum corneum, consists of dead skin cells. Going further down the skin layer, the young skin cells are arranged in the lamellar sheet matrix in the intercellular spaces, neatly stacked like brickworks. And what we may not know is there are liquid crystal structures within our skin layers. The top layer of the phospholipids is about 20% of the stratum corneum volume. So the molecular arrangement of the cellular membrane and the extracellular 3D matrix are natural lipid crystalline structures made with lipids. The structure of a liquid crystal emulsion is similar to that of the lipids found within our skin, so giving the perfect affinity with the skin. Liquid crystal emulsions can store a high amount of water between the hydrophilic layers. The skin is less sensitive to water loss from the immediate evaporation. And the affinity of liquid crystal emulsions with the crystalline structure of the skin enables it to counterbalance water evaporation for a long-lasting moisturization effect. Additionally, because of its biomimetic to the skin phospholipids, it leads to reduced irritation as well as enhanced skin delivery of actives through the barrier to within the dermis layer. So to formulate the liquid crystal structure in formulations, this pair of emulsifiers presented on the screen, glutamate SSE20 and glucate SS emulsifiers, lead to an optimal and robust liquid crystal structures. Both are naturally derived from corn, and when used together, they create liquid crystals that look like crosses under a polarized microscope, as seen in the bottom right image. So each of these emulsifiers function differently. On the right side of the screen, we see glutamate SSE20 with a high HLB, forming micelles and a multi-layer builder around the oil droplets. So this helps to orient the liquid crystal and strengthen the structure. Glucate SS emulsifier with a low HLB acts as a liquid crystal gel network builder. And thanks to a resulting middle HLB value combining the two, the presence of crosses proves the presence of the liquid crystal network. So the advantages of this is, firstly, superior robustness and stability in emulsions, which means a long shelf life. Secondly, better moisturizing properties than the traditional emulsions. The affinity of liquid crystal emulsions with the crystalline structure of our skin enables it to counterbalance water evaporation, and that means long-lasting moisturizing effect. Thirdly, and most importantly, due to its affinity with the natural lipids of the skin, it can potentially enhance the skin active delivery through the lamellar structure of the skin. Liquid crystal structures are also highly compatible with UV filters. So the HRB value influences the liquid crystal structure distribution and orientation. We found that a HRB value between 7 and 9 is optimum. When we looked across a range of HRB from 6 to 11, as seen in the graph on the right side of the screen, the ideal number for many well-oriented liquid crystal is between 7 and 9. The Colgate SS emulsifier with low HRB acts as a liquid crystal network builder in the external phase, and this helps to build and stabilize the liquid crystal in emulsion. So the glutamate SSE20 has a higher HRB, and it acts as a multi-layer builder around the oil droplets. So it helps to form micelles and orient the liquid crystal and strengthen the oil and water interface to avoid coalescence. So a low level of glucate SS, which means a high HRB, liquid crystals are not present, like the image on the right. A high level of glucate SS without glutamate SSE gives you a low HRB. So you can see many liquid crystals, but they're not well formed and oriented, as seen in the image on the left, the HRB 6. So the ideal network should be like the image in the center, a HRB 9, so you can see well-defined oriented liquid crystals. So aside from formulating to the right HRB, the presence of fatty alcohol and also humectants contribute to the stability and quantity of the liquid crystal structure. In the top row, we compare the performance of cetearyl alcohol and bihenyl alcohol. Both can be used to stabilize the liquid crystal structure, but we found bihenyl alcohol has a better long-term stability than cetearyl alcohol. So taking the image on the left, the top left, with cetearyl alcohol at T0 initial time, there are many well-formed liquid crystals, but under accelerated stability at 40 degrees after 2 months, the liquid crystal structures disappear. So for bihenyl alcohol, the presence of liquid crystal structure before and after are indicated by the number of crosses as seen under a polarized microscope. So next we see the presence of humectants, how they influence the liquid crystal quantity. The function of these glycols in the liquid crystal structure is adding extra hydrogen bonding to make the liquid crystal structure easily formed and stabilized. So hence we observe with the number of liquid crystals increasing significantly per humectant's optimization. So the most left image with a total of 12% glycerin, propylene glycol, and glucam E20, it shows the most liquid crystals. Even a combination of glycols at 10% adds more sites for hydrogen bonding than using it with glycols 10% propylene glycol or 10% glycerin alone. So the presence of a thickener also has an impact on the formation, distribution, and orientation of liquid crystal. Here we have a simple formula chassis. We change the thickeners in ingredients number 7 using various Lubrizol thickeners and rheology modifiers. We tested with Carbopol Ultras 21, 20, Permulan TR1, and Novema EC2. So keeping everything else the same, we formulated to HRB of 9. Carbopol Ultras 20 is the most compatible with glucate SS and glutamate SSE20 for the formation of liquid crystals, comparing with the other Lubrizol's polymer and also competitors' polymer. Permulan TR1 also shows a good compatibility for the formation of liquid crystal and the shelf life. As you can see at room temperature, the microscope image shows many liquid crystal structures, and under accelerated stability at 50 degrees after 1 month, there is still the presence of liquid crystals. So speaking of the ingredients, we need to formulate a product. So this is a new formula called melt-in crystal cream. Using the liquid crystal knowledge that we just heard, we can formulate interesting texture like a melting ice cream formula. And consumers, they often look for innovative texture, and what better way to create that with a melting ice cream formula? So many of us have a sweet tooth and tummy space for dessert. When we mention ice cream, we imagine a cream that should just melt into the skin, and that's creamy. So Carbopol Ultra 30 can create this melting texture, giving a delicate melting sensory and the instant absorption into the skin. So with glutamate SSE20 and glucate SS emulsifier pair, we enhance the stability and effectiveness of the emulsion through the Lubrisol's liquid crystal technology. Lastly, we add the active ingredients or the flavor, whether it's chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Here we added two actives called arginine amplified peptide and Uniclay biotech ingredient to improve the benefits of this melting crystal cream. So if we look at the base formula, it's a simple base formula, which I'll show you a video next. So in the water phase, we have deionized water, EDTA, Ultra 30 at 0.2%. It provides a melting cream effect. Propylene glycol and glycerin and glucam E20. So we want the presence of humectants and glycols to provide the hydrogen bonding sites to form liquid crystals. So this is the water phase in phase A. And then for the oil phase in phase B, we just add all the oil phase, the waxes, emulsifiers, the glutamate SSE20 and glucate SS, as well as 3% of bihenyl alcohol. For the oils, I have chosen Cherchemol CATCCN. So this Cherchemol emollient from Lubrizol has a unique property with a high molecular weight, but the comfort of a light ester. And also Cherchemol DIS, for some of you who use it in sunscreen, it's very common in sunscreen and color cosmetics. It gives a light sensory, a silky sensory. So that's a phase B. And then for phase C, lastly, we add the active ingredients, preservative, and neutralizer. So the adrenaline amplifier, we added at 5% for the maximum efficacy that I'll show you later. And also the Uniclay ingredient at 3%, which can offer a cleaner, smoother skin complexion. And importantly, most importantly, the positive confidence boost. So I will be playing a video of how I formulated and using the IKA's lab reactor to make this pilot batch. So that was the video. You can see that I used the lab reactor, which was easy to assemble and simplifies the standard batch manufacturing process. So I'm just going to show you the setup again. So you can see, as Amber mentioned before, the homogenizer can be, there we go. So you can see the homogenizer is on the right of the unit, and it's inside of the lab reactor, and then the water bath is encasing the beaker, the lab reactor. So it's all one single unit, which makes it easy to use. And this simplifies the whole batch manufacturing process of switching between an overhead stirrer and a homogenizer. So depending on the setup of the lab reactor, whether it is double-walled or immersed in a water bath, like in my video, the temperature control is possible. So it means hot process emulsifying and cooling can be easily controlled with a single knob. So you can just turn up or down the water bath. And this presents an extremely convenient setup for the formulators and also manufacturers. And making a batch doesn't require constant supervision. So I was able to add ingredients in between each addition and then walk away and then come back again and continue adding. So you don't need a constant supervision. So there is not much difference in terms of product properties like pH and viscosity, either from a lab reactor or from using the traditional setup of an overhead stirrer and a homogenizer. So with this setup, it's also easy to clean the lab reactor. It can be easily disassembled for a deep clean and very easy to assemble again. So with the use of the lab reactor, and if there is a connecting vacuum, the end product, of course, can be smoother and with less bubble compared to using just the setup like this. So this is a major feedback from customers, especially when making a surfactant system, such as a body wash or a hair shampoo gel, when they don't want the bubbles suspended. So a vacuum connected to the lab reactor can help reduce this problem. Okay. So going back to the slides, and now I'm going to slide number 10. So we looked at the formulation. So sorry, I'll go back. So we looked at the formulations, the base chassis to make the melt-in effect from Carbopol Ultra 30, enhanced by the glucamate SSE20 emulsifier and also the glucate SS emulsifier. And then we looked at the ingredients, the active ingredients like adrenaline amplified. It's no secret that the newest generation of consumers are all about multifunctionality and simplicity. So in keeping with the less is more attitude, one of our goals was to streamline skincare and cut down on waste. So skip care helps us achieve more while doing less. Time wasted on complicated beauty routines or money wasted on excessive product purchases. So Adrenaline Amplified was designed and created in the spirit of minimalist beauty for consumers who demand simpler, more convenient beauty routines. Adrenaline Amplified targets the different skin layers, the epidermis and the dermis, but also the supportive tissues like adipose and muscle tissues as well. So sustainability is gaining more awareness amongst the smart, savvy consumers today, and Adrenaline Amplified is manufactured based on the principles of green chemistry. It has a 99.5% natural origin content. And today, I've selected just two of the most unique features about Adrenaline Amplified. It works on the pre- and post-synaptic action of the muscle neuron junction, and is the first peptide on the market to focus on muscle relaxation after contraction. So with many anti-aging actives on the market, it focuses solely on reducing the appearance of the expression lines. But have you ever thought about the speed at which those expression lines return to normal after we smile, laugh, cry, or eat? So here we compare a young muscle tissue on the left with an aged muscle tissue that is treated with a compound called TNF-alpha to induce aging on the right. As you know, a young muscle would naturally show a larger contraction and also a faster relaxation. Young muscles have the ability to regain to its natural state quicker. Conversely, an aged muscle produces a lower contraction and will take longer to return to its original state. So when we looked at the effect, it's very promising. When young muscle tissue contracted, you can see that the movement was very big and the strength of the muscle contraction was large. In comparison, the aged muscle on the right of your screen, you can see the strength of the contraction is smaller. And when young muscle was treated with adrenaline amplified, you can see the strength of the contraction is smaller, and then an aged muscle also shows a smaller contraction. But what it also does is it speeds up the relaxation time as well, so it can help to improve the relaxation time of the muscle so that it returns to its baseline quicker. But this is just one aspect of the features of adrenaline amplified. It's a multifunctional anti-aging product that has a variety of skin benefits. So at 2%, it is able to show an improved effect on the skin roughness, lines, radiance, firmness, and many more. So additionally, with 5% adrenaline amplified, it has an improved effect in just 5 days, acting on 5 layers of the skin. So I've just shown you a snippet of what adrenaline amplified is about, and the unique mechanism today is that it focuses on muscle relaxation after contraction. And you might remember the second ingredient that I added in this melting crystal cream is UniClay biotech ingredient. So it's the ideal choice to improve the emotional well-being and also promoting a positive self-image. This is a ferment extract obtained through biotechnology from the microorganism Bacillus and isolated from a clay close to a natural park in northeastern Spain. You can see the in vivo images here, the before and after. It reduces the presence of visible imperfections, minimizes the appearance of red spots, and giving a smoother and flawless skin at the end of the treatment. So most recently, UniClay won the European BSB Innovation Award for natural products. And we also have a unique data that showed UniClay reduce the stress, enhance the well-being, and improve happiness of consumers. So when we asked the volunteers to look at their reflection, we asked them 2 questions. What do you see when you look at yourself in the mirror, and how would others see you on the first date? So the responses to these questions were evaluated by analyzing the vocal signal and the verbal expressions from the volunteers. And this mirror test is what I call capturing the conscious and the subconscious response through language. So on the left of the screen, the graph, we looked at vocal signal by vocal intensity and tone. As you know, if we are less stressed, you would speak louder. And also, if you're less stressed, you would have a higher tone. So you can see using UniClay, it has a higher tone and also lower intensity. But also the words that the volunteers use to describe themselves. So we see a shift in the orange, the 0 days, the orange words, and also after 28 days in the green words. So we see that they're using more positive words to describe themselves, like pleasant, nice, better. So the volunteers responded with a higher arousal, a higher excitement, and with a more positive feeling at the end of the treatment. And this is what we really want, to promote a positive self-image, and consequently we feel more comfortable, beautiful, and confident about ourselves. So this is what happiness is about, the key to beauty. So this is all from me. In summary, the melting crystal cream, it delivers the perfect texture and effectiveness through the Lubrisol's liquid crystal technology. We're using Carbopol Ultra 30 to create the melting, delicate texture and stabilized by the glucamate SSE20 and glucate SS. And of course, this can enhance the delivery of adrenaline amplified peptide through the skin layers and also UniClay, so you can look 5 years younger in just 5 days. So with that, I will pass it back to Amber. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. This is very interesting applications that you share. Thanks for the information you're sharing. Okay, so now we can start our Q&A sections. We do receive some of the Q&A questions from the chat box and the Q&A sections. So here is some of the interesting questions from the participants. So let's see the first questions for IKA. How to ensure that the upskill formulations that will be have the similar result like that lab skill. Usually we have facing the difficulty to getting the same result. We're using an overhead sealer in lab skill and upskill with an overhead sealer with custom made beaker. Okay, I see. So to if let's say you require the recommendations for the upskill overhead sealer and also the impellers from us, please let me know what is the existing impeller design you are using from IKA, and also for the vessel diameter of your lab skill, your liquid density, your liquid viscosity, and your upskill ratio. So with this information, right, I can recommend to you our upskill overhead sealer with the impeller suitable impeller and what is the recommended RPM to use with it in order to have the similar result. So you can share me the information first regarding your vessel diameter for the lab skill, liquid density, liquid viscosity, skill up ratio, and also what is the impeller model that you're using from IKA. So I can provide you further information from there. Okay, let's see the second question. How do you confirm that mixing in this reactor is uniform and homogeneous for those base with high viscosity? Also, okay, it actually also depends on the sample you use. For the best, we are recommend to have a trial for sure to prove that if the result is actually can fulfill your expected or not. Okay, basically it depends on your sample viscosities as well. Okay, so we have two series of lab reactor series from IKA. We have LR1000, which recommend to handle sample viscosity up to 100,000 millipascal. LR2SD, which can support up to 150,000 millipascal. Okay, so how can we improve? If let's say your sample viscosity is in this range, how can we improve the mixing for the high viscosity sample? Okay, so first, you can see for our anchor sealer, basically it comes with the scraper. So first, it can help you to scrape the sample which are stick on the vessel wall to the middle for better mixing. Second, also we do have one flow breaker. Sorry, I didn't have the pictures here, which you can actually put in the reactor to improve the mixing. Other than that, if let's say during the formulations you require to apply heat, while you apply heat, it also will further decrease the viscosity of your sample, which actually can help to improve the mixing efficiency in the lab reactors. So this is how our setup of our system can help you to improve the mixing for your high viscosity samples. Okay, if for sure, if let's say you require a trial to prove the result, you can send in your sample through IKA Malaysia with your formulations procedure. We can help you to do a trial and send back you about the product result. Okay, so let's see the third questions. May I know the capacity of the lab reactor? Okay. So we have two series of lab reactor. For LR1000, the maximum volume is 1 liter. Minimum volume for mixing is 350 ml. For LR2XT, okay, the maximum volume is 2 liter. Minimum mixing volume is around 600 ml. So I hope I answer your questions. Okay, let's continue with the questions number 4. Between the overhead sealer and disperser, which will generate more foam during the mixing process? Okay, for this, for sure it's disperser. Disperser will generate more foam during the mixing process. Okay, if let's say you want to reduce the foam problem, you can, as I mentioned, you maybe can use the homogenizer with our lab reactor together with the vacuum pump. So it can solve your bubble problem like what our customer is facing previously. Okay, so during the mixing process and also the homogenizing process, we will let the vacuum run, so we can reduce the A go into your material when you're doing the mixing and dispersing process. Okay, the fifth question is, can the lab reactor be used for high pressures than atmospheric pressure and also using different gas? Oh, okay. Basically, our lab reactor system is not able to withstand high pressure. Okay, we can only use with atmosphere pressure. But if let's say you require to maintain a inert atmosphere, for example, in the palm oil research, right, they require to push in nitrogen. Okay, we cannot keep the nitrogen in, but we can make it continuously. So on our reactor, we have 5 connectors, right? Where we can keep one of the connector, let the gas put in, another connector, let the gas go out. So this one we can continuously push in and out the gas, which will not create the pressure on the vessel, and also you can create the inner atmosphere in the reactor system. But if let's say you want to create pressure in the vessel, for this LR2SC and LR1000 is not suitable. But if let's say you require a high pressure tank, you also can send your inquiry to me. We do have the process team, which are actually have the high pressure tank as an option. Okay, let's see the 6th questions. Is it RW47 digital overhead stirrer is the explosion-proof equipment? Okay, from all the overhead stirrer from IKA in lab scale, okay, all is not explosion-proof. Okay, if let's say you require explosion-proof stirrer, our process team they do have the suitable overhead stirrer, which come with the explosion-proof standard. Okay. You can, if let's say you have any questions or any inquiry, you can send to my email address here, amber.on@lion.ika.my. Okay. So here's I done my Q&A sections. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for sending your questions to Amber. Also, if you have any questions to Sophia, you can send it now to the chat box because we'll be uploading the questions from Lubrizol right now,
Okay, and I also saw one in while we waiting Carissa to upload the questions for Rubizon. I also see there is a questions from the chat box is asking, for lab reactor, if we program 10 steps, do we need to click start before each step in case we are not allowed when proceed to next step? Okay, so as I mentioned, for the LR1000 reactor, it has the program mode. Yep, it can set up to 10 steps. Okay, basically you don't need to activate for each step. Once you activate the program one with the 10-step information, it will help you to run the step according to the time you set. Okay, yeah. So I think here is all the questions. I will pass the time for Q&A session for Rubiso now.
Okay, thank you, Amber and Clarissa. So I can see some questions in the chat box and the screen here. So a customer asks, how can we get Lubrizol ingredients? Please let us know which country or region you're based at, and I can put you in touch with our distributors, and we can organize some small samples for you. And I understand the difficulty of getting small sample just for R&D. So the original pH for the batch before I added the neutralizer was 3.5 to 4, around there. carbopol needs to be neutralized, and before adding a neutralizer, it's the acidic pH. It's a polyacrylic acid, so hence the pH before neutralizing is low. And then once we added the neutralizer, it will open up the carbopol polymers, and they expand and build a network, and that's how carbopol and also permilin thickens as well. So I can also answer some of the questions, or talk about the questions that were asked in the chat box. There was one asking about the size of the liquid crystal. So they are from micro to nano range, and the final pH should be adjusted to neutral, around 5 to 7, just a neutral pH. It doesn't need to be super acidic or super high for a skincare cream. And xanthan gum was added in there as a co-thickener, and we tested the effect with different carbopols and permilin, as well as the fatty alcohol and humectants, to look at the influence of liquid crystals. I think that's about it. So if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we would be happy to answer any more questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amber, and thank you, Sophia, for sharing with us today. So if anyone has any more questions, we've also shared Amber and Sophia's contacts and also email addresses here. So if you'd like more information either about the equipment or on the raw materials from Lubrizol, please feel free to contact them. Their contact details are all here. If there's nothing else, I think we can end the session here today. So thank you everyone for joining. We really hope from IKA and Lubrizol also that you guys have found this session informative, and also it's something that is interesting for you guys. So like Amber mentioned earlier, from IKA we also have 2 more upcoming webinars. One from IKA to target on the food process technology from our process department, and also from our laboratory department on how to handle a viscometer, and also what sort of parameters you want to be working with when you test the viscosity of your products. So again, we'd like to say thank you very much to everyone for joining into our session. Have a great day, and also stay safe and take care. Thank you very much.